when your mom used to come here. My mother and I used to make these popcorn balls and pass them out at the door. Trick or treat and thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Okay, to get started, we are going to add 1 cup of uncooked popcorn to the bottom of a heavy pan. And if you can see that, it's completely covering the bottom of the pan. The next step, and the amount of oil depends on the size of your pan. So we've basically got a layer of popcorn. There are some laying on top of each other, but it's covering the bottom. We're going to take enough oil to cover that popcorn, but not more than the same level of the popcorn. Yeah, that's good. So that's probably 3 tablespoons maybe. We're going to cover this popcorn and we're going to turn our burner on. And I've got this nice clear top, so we'll be able to see when the popcorn starts popping. So my burner is on high right now. I will turn it down a little bit once it gets going. So the sides are starting to bubble just a little bit. And that means obviously that everything is getting hot in there. And I just kind of stir it around, swirl it around a little bit so that everything is evenly heating up. So we'll take a quick look, and that's completely bubbling. It's going to pop soon. I can smell it. It hasn't started popping yet, but I heard a little popping going. I heard one little kernel. Oh, there it goes. Once this gets going, we're going to start shaking this and not stop. This is great. I love watching popcorn. Here it goes. Okay, when it stops like that, you just take it off. There we go. Perfect popcorn. So I've heated the oven to 300 degrees, and we want to keep this popcorn warm for the next step. When you're pouring this out, you want to make sure that when you get down near the bottom, you there's not many kernels left in there. You're trying not to get any of those kernels in there, so I start kind of scooping it out. We'll put this one in the oven. And then I've had the oven on for quite a while, so I'm going to turn the oven off and just let those stay in there so they stay warm. The caramel part of this does better with warm popcorn. Okay, so now we're ready to make the caramel sauce. We're going to start with a cup of molasses, or 240 milliliters. Okay, so we have a cup of sugar, which is 200 grams. Put that right in there with it. 2 tablespoons of vinegar, which is 29.5 milliliters. 4 tablespoons, 2 ounces, or 60 milliliters. Water. 2 tablespoons of butter, which is 28 grams. And a half a teaspoon of salt, which is 2.8 grams. Now we're going to turn on the heat. We're going to keep that up while the sugar is dissolving to about a medium high, and just make sure that all gets dissolved. Stir that up. While that's melting, I'm going to just spread a little butter along the edges here, so when it rises, the caramel is going to rise. I should have done this before, but It helps to keep that from sticking to the side of the pan. Also, while we're waiting, I've got some cold water sitting here. We have to get this to the hardball stage today, which is 250 degrees. I'm going to use a candy thermometer today, but when I learned how to cook caramel, I did not have a thermometer, and so my mom taught me how to do this using the stages of what it feels like when you drop it into cold water. So this has been sitting for a few minutes. I am going to get some ice cubes to put in here to make sure that's cold. Once it starts heating up, you want to gently stir this until you can't feel the sugar anymore. Once it starts getting warm, if you stir this too much, the sugar will crystallize. Okay, I think that's great. Now the hardest thing about making caramel is this stage. You turn it down to about a medium, you take your spoon out, and you don't touch this again until you want to test the temperature. I'm going to put the thermometer on here. Making caramel is really not difficult. It's just a matter of being patient, because right now everything, like, it's suddenly at 180 degrees and we have to go to about 200, somewhere between 250 and 265 is going to get you to that hardball stage. And you think, oh boy, this isn't going to take long. And then once you get to like 200 degrees, every degree is just painful because it takes a little bit longer than you think it should. So I switched out my thermometers because the other one wasn't hitting the liquid quite enough and it wasn't registering the temperature, and I happen to have a smaller one. Softball stage here, or it's kind of where the jelly would be if you were making jelly, probably 235-ish. Okay, so we're gonna test this. I'm going to drop that in, whoops. And then you're just going to pick that up out of the water. And as you can see, it's just about at the softball stage. It's almost holding not really holding it, but I can make it flat just by squishing it. So that is somewhere between 235 and 240 if you don't have a thermometer. My fingers warmed that up really quickly and it dissolved. So that will verify where we are on the thermometer. Okay, so I'm going to check it for the softball stage now. It's right up. It looks like it's closer. See how this is doing. Oh, that looks so good. See how it's gotten a little bit harder? I don't know if you can see that, but so this time when I make it a ball, it's an actual ball, and I can squish it between my fingers, but it doesn't dissolve. So that's your softball stage. It's a ball when you have it like that, and then you squish it, and that shows you that it's not at the hardball stage yet, because it's much harder to do that when it's at the hardball stage. So we're getting there. Okay, so this is hit 250, and this the firm ball stage ranges between 245 and 250, and the hard ball stage ranges between 250 and 265. So this is where I start testing more and more frequently. So at this point, I can tell even the way that the bubbles are moving around. They're much stiffer now. So let's see where we are. Oh, see that? That looks. So that is very close. It's a firm ball. I can still squish it quite easily. I'm going to let this go 5 more degrees. We're at exactly 250 degrees on this thermometer. So I'm going to let it go 5 more degrees and I think we'll be done. But see the difference in that, I don't know if you can see how pliable that is, and it's very firm. But we want that to get harder. I'm going to give this another try, see where we are. Oh, that one dropped like it's hard. That is like Play-Doh hard, and that's where you want this to stop. So, and you want it to stop immediately because it keeps cooking. And if I was making real caramels, I'd stick this in ice cold water, but because we're going to dump it on the popcorn immediately, it's going to stop cooking as soon as I do that. Whoops. Now we're going to take half of this, and you can measure this, but I'm just going to do it by eye. And now what we're going to do is we're going to stir this, and you want to work this kind of rapidly because it does harden up as you go along really quickly. Be careful, it's very hot. This recipe is probably 100 years old. Okay, so I'm going to take some butter and butter my hands. And this has cooled off some, but it's still hot, so you just want to be very careful when you're forming these. It's cooled off quite a bit. And you want to make these, you can make them any size you want to. And I'm putting the butter on my hands because I don't want it to stick. You make them this just like you're getting ready to pitch a baseball. Aren't they beautiful? Look at that. It's, and the caramel feels lovely.